Hey, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. We're
to be
on
here.
our mid-century. No, not our mid-century set.
This
We're on
is
our
the Urban Loft now, yeah.
and we're doing this three-person thing, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah?
Okay, so what are
time
we
here.
talking about today?
I believe we're talking why networking is important for filmmakers.
Okay, and why is that?
I would say it's got to be the number one thing you have to do if you're looking to get involved in the world of filmmaking is start networking, figure out where in your area, wherever that might be, those networks are, who the players in the industry are, and just start meeting people and figuring out where you can fit in.
Okay, we got Melissa, who's our social media director. Why don't you introduce everybody and let's get that out of the way?
Max Brudvig with Chicago film scene.
Hell, I could have done it that well, but go on.
And then on Skype, we have Sarah Giroux, one of the organizers of Martini Shot, along with Wesley Nott, who is a freelance director and cinematographer.
All right, let's see Sarah. We want to see Sarah. Hey, how you doing, Sarah?
Good. How are you guys?
Okay, let's start with you. Jens, what was your question?
Well, I was starting to get into where the networking started for me was in film school, which seems like a natural place, and you start to get to know people and you end up working with them eventually. I was just wondering how you guys, do you take off from that point on, or like how do you go about it?
Yeah, I can take it unless Sarah, you want to get that one
Yeah,
first.
anybody.
Well, you're both going to do it, so who's going first?
Go ahead.
I mean, I absolutely agree. Networking started on the first day of film school for me, and that's what the film instructors had told me. Your job starts here, and it really is all about who you know. And half of it is obviously the skill, technical understanding that it takes to do your job, but the other half is being able to sell yourself and communicate with people.
Mm-hmm. Max?
Yeah, I worked as a videographer at UW-Madison. I didn't go to film school, but I did start building my network there as well.
A no film schooler.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, but my network started there as well. I knew other videographers on campus, and I think from there, you just you start working on projects outside of work, and then you start figuring out how to build those projects up, and then eventually you're making real short films, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Let's talk to Wes a little bit. What do you think, Wes?
Networking starts on day one, whether you're in film school or elsewhere. My networking journey actually started in my church. I was part of a mega church in Sydney called Christian City Church, and they have a baller TV setup. They have their own TV studio. They live stream. Back in the day, they used to record to tape all their services. So I was part of a 3-camera record twice a week from the age of about 13 or 14 onwards, and through that experience I got to know a lot of Sydney-based industry people, and that's kind of how I got my in.
The two industries that are really early adopters that I would network with is faith-based community and porn. Only because they are the initial adopters of every single technology. I'm not saying I'm doing porn, but I'm saying that when you think about it, what we're doing right now, the video toaster has been around since the 80s, and it was invented for faith-based communities to be able to do broadcasting. So that is a really great way to get involved in production, is through faith-based type media, which is something you and I have wanted to do forever. I would love to do like a really wonderful faith-based movie, but that's neither here nor there.
Definitely. I mean, you got people, and radio as well. I'm sure that's been adopted by that community too. You got people like Dave Ramsey who are now all over the internet. Start out in the faith-based community.
Well, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Is we're doing, we're going to call this video webcasting or live streaming, whatever. But we also can take this audio, for people that some people want to read, some want to watch. So. But like my background's way different than you guys. I went right into business, and I met people, who were in business, and we were doing more corporate and commercials and that type of filmmaking. And then I met Jens, who you can tell him how that happened.
Well, yeah, I was at Columbia College, and I needed to finish a project, and all their edit rooms were booked. And so I went outside the school, looked in the yellow pages, if people still know what that is, and found First Generation Film and Video, and called you guys up and said, hey, can you help me finish my project? And then you asked me to work on some gigs.
After that, okay, so we're going back. This is going to sound really weird, but that was in 1984. And Jens and I have been friends. He is my cinematographer ever since 1984. We read each other's minds now. So, and we're constantly looking to add people to our club of talent. So that's what we call networking. I mean, it's not for short film making and things like that. There is the commercial market, and then there's that short film market.
Well, here's what I'd like to know, and maybe you can explain how it's different now. Because back then, networking was kind of like, one way was like how we described, you know, I went and did something with you, hired you, and got to meet you and then the others around that. School, of course, is how I met a few people. But there was not social media and all that sort of thing back then. So you know, and I don't even think there was really meetups. You know,
No, there were no meetups.
No, I don't mean like, I don't even think there were like real meetings of any type.
There was Women in Film. Has been around forever.
Film
okay,
clubs.
so there's those organizations.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I guess, so contrasting that to now, how is it different?
Wait a minute. How about Center for New TV?
Yeah, there was some hangouts, I guess.
Yeah, we used to have, there's this place that was called Center for New TV, and a
Physical
lot of
hangouts.
crazy people came out of this. We would go there, and it was kind of like we were all experimenting with new technology.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Center
on
for New
Hubbard
TV.
by Andy's, that jazz place.
Right.
Sure.
And it was incredible. I mean, they had a Dan Sandine image processor, and lots of people got together there, and we learned. We're doing exactly what you're doing.
It's pretty similar, it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, it was just without social media. So I want to ask you some questions. I didn't tell Jens this, but the other night, I don't know why, because I do not do social media at all. But the meetup thing I do. And it's said on the meetup, there's this live stream coming on.
Right.
So for whatever random reason, I went to their live stream, and I found it interesting. It was about documentaries, which is my love. And I just started typing in questions, and I was interacting with you guys, and it was cool.
We saw you in there and I actually knew who you were. I saw Steve Weiss, I'm pretty sure he's the owner of Zacuto Studios. And then one of our other members started chatting. You guys kind of had a little dialogue going on in the comments section.
It was fun.
While we were talking about documentaries. It was great. We got some of your questions we were able to get over to the actual speakers. But I guess to bring people, I could probably explain exactly what we're talking about here.
Well, tell us about your event. So you have a meetup.
Yeah. So it started as just a group of people who wanted to network within the film community in Chicago. And we started meeting up at the Arrogant Frog Bar every Wednesday night about a year and a half ago. And so that was going great, and a lot of projects stemmed from that. A lot of people connected, worked on short films together through that meeting. And from there, we decided to start recording a film podcast. So we've been doing that for the last, I think, 11 weeks now. And it's where we set up 4 microphones and do a live stream onto YouTube, which we later put on iTunes and Spotify, called The Chicago Film Scene, where we talk about a different genre every week. And I think the week that you came in, we had 4 people up there talking about documentary films.
Which is my thing.
Right.
So Sarah, how are you involved in this whole thing?
So Wesley and I here founded the Martini Shot, which is an old film term from the early 30s. Essentially, it is a monthly mixer that is non-for-profit, free for folks to join. We even throw in some free booze, which is, a great perk. And each month it's also themed something differently. Like we've had a vendor night where we invited vendors from all across the nation to come and have a booth and showcase cool equipment that they have. This particular month we're hosting actually tomorrow evening in your studio, which we're very much looking forward to. And the theme this month is in the studio, live broadcasting. It's for people that are 21 plus, and they have to be working professionals in the film, TV, broadcast industry.
Okay, has anybody gotten married that's come to your group yet?
No, but that'd be quite impressive. Maybe we could film it.
Okay. Wes, we had a long conversation. Talk to me a little bit about your involvement in this organization.
Yeah, I got together with Sarah. It was probably about 3 years ago. I've known Sarah for about 6 years. We both do, it's very similar things. We're both shooters. And I said, hey, there's kind of a hole in Chicago for networking. So what say it? Do you want to do this thing? And we had a few meetings about it, and we did like a like an initial iteration of it back in 2015 with our friends at JBTV, just across the road from you guys. And that went pretty well. And then come this year, we partnered with Magnanimous Media, and we love it. We do it every month, and it's great to bring the community together in like a non-work environment. Like it's great to network on set on the day, but everyone's running around, everyone's busy, and there's not really enough time to really get to know people. So we wanted to do something that was very informal, and obviously the alcohol helps to generate the conversation, and obviously we're very responsible about it, but it's good to bring people together once a month and talk shop and play with some gear and get to know each other.
All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. Have you worked with Sarah?
Yes. Sarah and I work together
Multiple times.
Have you guys worked with Max?
No, we
never worked together.
We need to hang out.
Yeah, we need to do
Hopefully
this.
I'll get a chance to meet you guys in person at your at the Martini Shot mixer. Sounds
Okay,
fun.
so I like this. So I was looking for some conflict here, which I'm not getting. So you,
I don't even want to meet him.
yeah, right. So you actually have made a successful connection and have worked together, and your system works.
It's great. Yeah, it's awesome to have the support of Craig and the Magnanimous people to be able to do what we do every month. And, we're looking forward to many more.
Terrific.
And I also think that keeping the theme different every month really helps and makes it exciting. It's a totally cool and unique dynamic, and it's crazy the amount of excitement we've had over the past couple of months. This particular event for tomorrow, I think, sold out in 4 hours.
Talk to me about the job that you two did together. What did you do?
Oh, we've done multiple jobs together.
We have to pick one. Let's talk about
podcasts.
Discovery Education.
Okay,
Yeah, Discovery Education was awesome. I loved that. It was almost like 2 years, right? Traveling around and filming at various trades in America. It was geared towards students to teach them about potential jobs that they could do post-graduation. We went to like Lockheed Martin and saw the Orion replica getting built. You could be a scientist. We went to, I think, the Toyota crash test site and saw how they crash really smart crash test dummies. They're actually not very dumb. They can walk and like ride bikes and stuff. Yeah, that was an awesome series of work that we did together. I loved that.
I want to talk about so a lot of people that I've come in contact with, and we've asked this question, all they want to do are short films. And look, man, you gotta. The key to this industry is experience. The key to any industry is experience. I remember one time we had a guest on a Film Fellas show, and I asked him. I said, you should really be doing some weddings, some corporate work. I said, because to me, doing a wedding, that is a one-take environment. That is the hardest job you will ever do. And if you do 10, 20 of those, you are just going to build your speed. You are going to know how to deal with emergencies. Corporate videos teaches you how to deal with, I'm going to say, producers and people, which are all things you're going to need to do. So this bad guest that we had said that he would rather work in a Starbucks and do his one short film a year versus doing things like corporate videos and other things that you could meet in networking like you're talking about. Make money doing what it is that you love doing. I don't care what I'm doing.
It's like an NFL player saying he only wants to play the Super Bowl. It's like you gotta get experience. You gotta if you don't know how to work a camera and don't know your lighting, how are you gonna make a good short film?
Well, it sounds like it was just a hobby to him. I mean, what's his goal? Was his goal to have a career in filmmaking? If that's the case, then he needs to do what you were suggesting. If it's just a hobby, then who
the
cares?
guy that we're talking about is like, I need to clarify that this dude's short films are the greatest things I've ever seen. So you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
And
It's fine then.
It's not fine then, because they could be even greater. But he'd be making a living doing something he loves. I mean, when you turn a camera on and you start editing, do you love that, Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. It's my passion in life. You're absolutely correct. I mean, I think one thing I found as a cinematographer is that the type of work you can try is so diverse. I mean, I've done my fair share of boring bank commercials and bad reality TV, but it's all part of the trade, and I love every aspect of it.
And a quick question, and this is something that Jens and I have done after making close to probably 2,000 projects, and people we've talked to in the film industry who've made major motion pictures. We have this thing that we call the post-mortem, that every single project you've ever done, I don't care if you've done 5,000, you screw it up. And you learn from that.
We do it after each one of these shows, even.
Yeah, we're going to do it right here. We're going to say we screwed this up. This is what we screwed up. And I always say to Jens, you don't learn from success. Success, you're like, yeah, it was fun. It's lovely. You learn from failure.
Right.
But you know what also he's missing out on is by not doing these other things, he's not meeting other people, like this whole networking thing we're talking about.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
That's the key part.
So,
okay, well said. That's going to be your line for the day.
okay, I'm done.
All right, you're done. Get out. Drop your mic. So, Melissa, yep, she's got questions.
I do. So the first one is, how would someone go about actually starting their own meetup group or their own networking event, similar to what Sarah and Wes has done?
I would say start attending ones that you like and figure out the aspects of it that you enjoy, and just start and then start one in that image and make it consistent. That's the biggest thing, is just keep doing it. Don't stop, even if there's only a couple of people showing up, because eventually it'll grow if it's a good time.
It makes sense that they should go to like yours and other ones to learn from that, and then a splinter group that they might want to form can come, grow out of that.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you a question that I asked you earlier, which here's a learning lesson right now. Whenever you do any kind of interview or anything, you had asked this, or Melissa did, you never give the people the questions, because you'll get a pre-made answer when you do that. But I asked you. I did. There you go. I learned. I asked you. You have 6,090 members, something like that.
No, we're around 1,000, I think. But we have a lot.
I don't know. It said 6,090 on the.
We'll take it. Maybe we grew.
Yeah, you grew.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 1,000 members.
Yeah.
I don't care. How many of them are actual filmmakers, and how many are what we call them civilians?
Civilians.
Civilians are people who like.
Yeah.
Like students? Or?
No, they like films and they go, but they're not really making films.
I see.
At least 80% want to be making films if they're not already.
Good.
And then there's 20% of them that just enjoy being around people who like films, like talking about movies.
Right. And then 5% that just
Cinephiles.
want to drink.
5% just want to drink, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Wes, you're sitting there. It looks like you want to say something.
No, I think he's correct. There's always good engagement at these events, and although we do have a lot of students that want to join, we do keep it to industry professionals. And I'd say that probably there's a good mix of departments that attend. There's production coordinators, there's set designers, there's audio people, there's cinematographers, there's producers. So it's good to bring that whole mix of people together into what to tell stories from the set and talk about gear and that sort of thing.
I actually like that. I mean, if you had all cinematographers, what good does that do you?
No, but you could crew your next project just by going to one of these.
I know. You're just going to be bumping. Well, all cinematographers is like going to the clubhouse. It's like there's not much to talk about.
You get two cinematographers talking, it spirals quick.
Oh, I know. All right, Melissa?
One of our viewers recently moved abroad to Europe, and so they want to know how to network when they know zero people and there's even somewhat of a language barrier. How would you guys go about networking if you were to move to, say, France tomorrow?
Sarah?
Well, I think trying to find organizations in the local area that fit your like-minded needs. Like, for example, I actually just went to France last week to cover the Notre Dame cathedral fire, and honestly, we wouldn't have been able to be as successful if we hadn't hired a local French fixer. And she was invaluable in knowledge. So definitely trying to find somebody that's already on the ground running, and attending networking events. And I mean, it could be as simple as like going to a film premiere and just starting to talk to people.
Well, you bring up a good point. And actually, Jens and I, we've done quite a bit of shooting in Europe. And the number one, so like we did a video in Scotland, and we hired a guide because we wanted to get all these beautiful vistas. But there's a lot of oil derricks that you don't know about in all these locks. So this guide, it's worth paying the money sometimes. You gotta decide where you're gonna put your money in your budget. So this guide would like drive us all up these hills, and he'd go, okay, get out of the car, walk 10 feet over there and point your camera this way. And when you did, it was like, oh my God, it was like something out of, like it looked 10,000 years ago, So you need to do exactly what Sarah said. You got to hire local people.
Find people who know the locations.
I mean, yeah, if you're in Chicago, even in Chicago here, we hire people because we don't know all the great vantage points. That's part of filmmaking. This is the kind of thing you learn by doing it.
So how do people find your organizations?
We use social media a lot to, put our word out there. A lot of it is word of mouth. Sarah actually started a work forum for Chicago-based personnel a couple of years ago. So we started off by promoting on that group, and that started as our core group of attendees, and then they told their friends on set, and then we got more requests to join. So we started with about 80 people, and it's grown to about 550 now, I think.
We're going with 6,090, dude. That's the number. 6,000.
6,000, yes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you how I find you. I have zero social media whatsoever, except that stupid meetup thing. I don't know why I did that. And it sent me some kind of a note that said you're going live.
Yeah, we sent out an email, I think, before all of our live events.
Or does the meetup thing actually send me? It said 1. You know how it says like a little 1 in there? And I went and looked at the 1 because I hate when it has these
So
numbers.
what is that meetup thing? Is it an app?
Meetup is an app.
Is huge, man. It's
All right, so to answer that person's question, that's how they would find these people in the other countries.
There's probably a meetup on cinema lenses. I mean, there are so specific amount of these meetups. I mean, how many literal meetups in Chicago are there in filmmaking?
Oh, there's hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, so many.
100 maybe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've signed up to a lot of them just to see what's kind of going on in the film community.
Absolutely.
And that is my social media now. But I did get kind of pulled. You got to admit, I got sucked into your show there.
You did, yeah, and it something worked. So we're happy.
Yeah,
we're very happy about that.
It aggravated something in me to want to comment. So that's worth something. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Melissa?
Yeah, and I just want to add too that Eventbrite, particularly in the Chicagoland area, has been really extraordinary with promoting a lot of these creative events, for networking and so forth. And also to Wesley's point, I actually connected with him initially because of a hashtag on Instagram. So, you don't have to get fancy when it comes to learning about different places. Sometimes it just, takes being in the right place at the right time and being a little diligent about it.
Well, somehow we all know each other, and that obviously happened through something. So this is the connecting format, right? We connected. Okay, Melissa, any other questions?
I have one more. It's specific to the event tomorrow. And so I just wanted to let all of our viewers know that Bruce Logan will be the guest on Martini Shot's show with us tomorrow night, beginning at 7 Central time. And I'll put the details of that in the comments.
Hang on, I want to add something to that Bruce Logan thing.
Of course.
I want you to go out to your viewers, and Melissa will give you a link because we just finished a show with Bruce. And I want everybody to watch that show before they start commenting because Bruce is the real deal. I mean, as a 19-year-old, he worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey for 2.5 years. And then he was the director of photography on Tron. He blew up the Death Star. He worked on Fear and Loathing. He shot the opening scene in the original Star Trek movie. But the point is I don't want to be asking him questions that are not killer questions. I don't want to say, hey, what'd you do? I want to, so send that out to your community so that they can really get answers to things that they want. Or
come up with questions.
This is a hell of an opportunity to get him on this show.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll reach out to our community for sure about that.
Okay, terrific. I'll let you wrap it out, Melissa.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll be dropping in some more networking resources in the comments. And if anyone has any other questions for our guests or Steve and Jens, drop them in the comments as well, and I'll get them answered as soon as possible. Thanks a lot, everybody.